Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Superman Unlimited issue 16, written by Dan Slott, with art by Rachel Stott, colors by Giuliano Peritelli, and letters by Dave Sharp. Zod's reign continues as the Eradicator archive is accessed yet again, this time showing the destruction of New Kandor. However, in the resulting explosion, the invaders were killed and Zod was left on the verge of death. His charred body was found by a prison ship, which after healing himself, he took over and begun the long journey towards Earth for his revenge. As I've said before, I love that each issue of the Kingdom of Zod so far has been opening with a little bit of a recap on Kneel Before Zod. I do think people should still go and pick that book up since it's a load of fun and there's little bits and pieces here that these little catch-ups aren't actually going through. So I definitely implore people to go pick it up. You can go check out my video on it as well. But it's just really cool that we get to see that sort of lead into this and kind of go through why Zod is doing what he's doing and what led him to this place. In Emerald City, the people of El Caldero gather to pray to the giant kryptonite statue of Superman, hoping that the Man of Steel saves them again from the curse of the kryptonite. The city explodes around them as something smashes into the statue. That something is Superboy and Superboy Prime, who were thrown into the statue by Zod. Connor and Prime get up and use the kryptonite statue as a weapon, getting ready to end Zod before their own K-shields fail. Prime thinks that they vastly outnumber Zod and both of them can take him down, but Zod merely batters them away, calling them children against a literal general. Luckily, thanks to all of the kryptonite around the place, Zod isn't at full power either, and the hit doesn't really hurt the Superboys. Prime knows that they need to work fast as their K-shields give them the upper hand, but maybe he should have kept his big mouth closed, as Zod uses his heat vision to blow apart the K-shield devices on the hero's hips, leaving them vulnerable to the radiation and the K-play. I'm glad we are getting a bit of Connor and Prime teaming up. The bickering so far has been very fun. I kind of like it. They feel like kind of like a married couple in a way, where they're just on each other's cases constantly. And I like that this is kind of a contest on who can out-cocky the other. The kryptonite not overly affecting Zod too is interesting, and it's probably his checkmate armor helping shield him a little bit more than the other heroes. And I like that it gives him a little bit of an even footing with some of these characters. Zod comes for the Superboys, socking Superboy in the gut and tossing him into Prime, who calls him a 2-bit Terrence Stamp. Zod tires of the games, tossing the heroes across the city as Eradicatrix arrives, asking if her boss needs some assistance. Zod reveals he just tossed the Superboys to the highest radiation levels in the kingdom, kryptonite mines, where that level of radiation will soon kill them. Zod knows that they were right though, and the radiation is also affecting him, so he's going to retire to the kryptonite palace to gather adequate protection. He orders the android to begin a purge of all the superhumans who have illegally entered the country, as he senses a group nearby, a group that includes Superman himself, wanting the Eradicatrix to bring him Kal-El's hide. Eradicatrix speeds off to fulfill Zod's commands as Superman, Superboy, Manhunter, Mary Marvel, and Booster Gold are all overcome by the K-play. Superman wants to push past the pain to help the people, since his senses tell him whatever happened to the kryptonite is happening all over the world. I do like this plague having the same effects the kryptonite has in My Adventures with Superman, where it begins to kind of grow over Superman and the Kryptonians it infects. It's much more violent and a more visual reaction than just a character maybe getting a little bit green in the face and saying they are weak. I always like when they add a visual aspect to kryptonite. The people of the city see Superman is back, thinking that he answered their prayers as Manhunter learns telepathically that Zod is there, hearing the Kryptonians' thoughts and that he is the one behind El Caldero and knows that they are there now. Superman hopes that Zod doesn't know that his younger self is there, but Manhunter reveals that Zod's powers are erratic and he's still adjusting to having them back, so he can't sense Superboy properly, seeing him as a bit of a blur or picking up Kal-El's signature as a double. Clark implores his younger self to leave, ordering him out of the city since he's not ready to face General Zod yet. Zod taking note of Superboy would be a very interesting swerve in the story, and it would turn the story basically into Terminator, where they got to protect the younger Clark from Zod, because if he dies, Superman ceases to exist. No one will be there to stop Zod the multiple times he's, reigned over the earth, and multiple other villains, so it's just end of the world stuff if the younger Superboy dies. It's actually upped the stakes a little bit for the series now that we have this younger Superboy here. Superboy takes off as Superman orders the other heroes to take off in the other direction and draw the villains away. It's too late as Eradicatrix finds them, taking Booster and telling him his time device has been conscripted into the service of Zod. She seals Booster inside some melted metal, telling him that he is being kept alive in case they need a pilot for the time bubble. Superman calls to Eradicatrix, telling her that she is on the wrong side of the battle, but the android picks up 2 signals from the son of Jor-El, none of which are coming from the Superman in front of her. The Superman is actually Manhunter in disguise, and with their ruse up, Mary says her magical word, blinding Eradicatrix with lightning and allowing her and Manhunter to escape into the crowd nearby, both disguised in their human forms. Manhunter wants to try and slow down since they might need to help the people in the city, but Mary reminds him that she is just Mary now. She's not Mary Marvel, and she isn't infected by the K-Plague, but if she stays in a human form, she will soon be infected. She thinks about changing back into Mary Marvel since she doesn't want to be doubly infected, as she finds that Superman managed to escape into the sewers. Manhunter can sense Clark down there along with some people who will do anything to help the great hero. Superman's little team getting something to do in the book is great. I figured they would get lost in the chaos, or like Superman would like leave them to go be part of this event. I didn't figure that they would all be drawn into this event, but it's good to see that they have a role to play in the event, even if it's just a very small one. Superman, meanwhile, is helped out by some people who take him into the lead-lined tunnels under the city, knowing that it will dull the effect of the kryptonite. Superman wants to know what is going on since clearly he missed a lot since being away, so the people tell him that General Zod has overthrown President Castillo and taken over El Caldero, and then he did something to all of the El Calderon kryptonite, using it to attack the world. On top of that, Zod managed to lure Lois Lane into the city and capture her in the Kryptonian castle. Clark is visibly shocked that his wife is there, needing to go and save Lois first, wanting to be pointed in the right direction. The people are worried that he'll get sicker from the K-Plague if he leaves the lead-lined tunnels, and the Eradicatrix will soon find him, but Clark doesn't think she will, since she is too confused by there being 2 sons of Jor-El wandering around. The younger Clark meanwhile remembers his older self's words about escape, but it doesn't feel like the Kent thing to do. Soon he spots Supergirl on a rooftop fighting the Kryptonites and rushes to help her, meeting with his cousin for the very first time in his life. Kara recognizes him as Kal, unable to explain how, but every time they have met in any reality it has been wrong, but not this time. Okay, so I really like this bit with Kara getting to meet the younger Clark. She was meant to be his protector, it's why she was sent off of Krypton to go and protect him, but thanks to, depending on which era, it's either time dilation or Phantom Zone shenanigans, she ends up on Earth when he is grown up and has already become Superman, so she never got the chance to fulfill that role that she was destined for, and it's something that has always weighed heavy on her in the past. Slott giving her a chance to fulfill her original promise to protect Kal-El is fantastic, and no doubt her and younger Clark will be sort of a duo going through the rest of this event. Kara can see that the younger Clark is in pain from the kryptonite, so she gives Clark her K-shield, telling him that it's why she is there, since she was sent to Earth to be his guardian. Clark officially meets Kara Zor-El, learning that he is not the sole survivor of Krypton and he has family. He hugs Kara, sharing the K-shield with her, as in the dungeons of El Caldero, the Kryptonites take the Super Force and imprison them. In the cells, they find President Castillo, the man in the kryptonite mask, who reveals who he is, and when the kryptonite in the mask is done crystallizing, he will be completely poisoned and beyond saving. Lena wonders why the crystallization hasn't happened yet, but Castillo can only theorize that he is safe in the eye of the storm, being that they are right under the kryptonite castle. He wonders how the rest of the world is faring against the kryptonite, and Phantasmagoria reveals that it's spreading very fast and her human form in Midvale has been consumed by the K-Plague. Out in the world, the Justice League respond to the threat, with Red Tornado tracking the infection across the world. Flash ferries people away from Central City and out into the middle of the painted desert where there are no crystals, but Tornado mentions that the kryptonite could be microscopic and airborne, so it could be everywhere. I'm really glad that the larger threat is being addressed by the Justice League. I was a little worried the book wouldn't really touch on the world outside of El Caldero, which wouldn't be good since they have been touting this as a global threat since it begun. So I'm glad the Justice League, even if it's just Red Tornado and Flash, just getting involved in it somehow. Tomorrow Man, meanwhile, breaks into the League communications from the Hammerjet, telling them that Steel and Natasha Irons are both working on a cure for the K-Plague, and if Steel can study some pure samples of the El Caldero kryptonite, they will be able to stand a better chance of curing it. Red Tornado wants to stay informed on their mission as John puts the ship on autopilot to go and check on the others, learning that Lana, who with her new kryptonite woman powers is drawing all of the green kryptonite radiation away from Steel and Nat, so they don't have to be fully suited up all the time. John thinks that Lana should rethink the name Kryptonite Woman, as he tells Yellers that he's going ahead of them to El Caldero to help his family. With a full K-shield, John speeds off towards the Kryptonite Kingdom, hoping that he'll be able to hear his mother's heartbeat as he gets closer. Lois meanwhile is manhandled by a Crypto Knight, but tells the villain Superman is back in town and touching her isn't going to end well for him. Superman meanwhile makes it into the Kryptonite castle, finding that there is a faint path that actually is shielded from the radiation, wondering why that is exactly. Clark contemplates about changing into his gold form to protect him from the Kryptonite, but that would only last 200 seconds, and then he would be without his powers, making him even more vulnerable than he is now, so he would rather keep that in his back pocket for later. I am really glad that Slott brought up the gold form, and it's going to be used very sparingly and very, in the right moment. They're not just going to keep using it willy-nilly. Clark wishes he had some help, and suddenly a hologram of Jor-El appears, greeting the heir to the House of El and directing him to a gift. Clark comes upon a room filled with Kryptonian warsuits, thanking his father as he suits up. I'm really looking forward to learning a bit more about this sun crystal and what exactly it contained, because so far it just contains stuff for war, like war suits and technology that can be used to wage war. And we did see in the last issue of Superman Unlimited, it was called the Ledger of the House of El. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, I guess, Kara interact with the crystal since it's drawing her to it. But I'm also interested to see what it means for Superman, because obviously it's part of the House of El, his father is there as well. So I'm intrigued to see what Slott is going to do with that and what exactly it's going to give them after this entire event has ended. Lois meanwhile hears explosions and bangs through the castle, warning the Crypto Knight again that her husband is coming. Zod shows up, now clad in a battle armor that he thought was right for the occasion. He gets ready to kill Lois when Tomorrow Man shows up, apologizing to his mother for being late, but he had a couple of walls he needed to smash through first. Zod smashes him into the ground, glad to see the wife and heir to Kal-El are there, since he couldn't ask for a better sacrifice. Suddenly, Superman bursts up through the floor in his own warsuit, reuniting with his family before taking the fight to Zod, who promises that this time he will finally kill Superman. As I said in my review of the last issue, I kind of like that Superman didn't just kind of come in this grand 2-page spread and just kind of saved everything. I like that he came in the time bubble and it was immediately affected by the kryptonite because he did not know what was going on. And I like here how he's got the war suit and he shows up to save his family. And it's not some big triumphant return or anything, which I think would have killed all the hype for all these other characters. He's just there to help out, and he's got the big war suit, and it's going to be him and Zod just duking it out in their own respective war suits. Pretty cool. It's making it a little different than what we usually get from Superman versus General Zod. Superman Unlimited issue 16 was an action-packed good time, balancing all the various squads we have going now across this event, alongside filling in some gaps in General Zod's story and plan. Superman's return into the present I feel was done really well. I like the shift from it being a big grand return that you would usually get to instead the Man of Steel just doing what he does best, saving people and fighting the bad guy. Houselot also addressed the younger Clark being around in this story and giving Supergirl a chance to fulfill her role as his protector finally is great. It was very rewarding, and I can't wait to see more of that duo. It was a really fun little duo they had in this issue, and I can't wait to see more of them in the coming issues. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.